Hey all, KI Coaster Guy here, and Cedar Point is once again getting ready to open another roller coaster, which means a media day. There is nothing that enthusiasts and content creators like more than these media days, and why wouldn't you? They're a lot of fun, you get to meet people, it makes you feel a little bit special to be invited out to test out a ride before it's open to the public. If you make roller coaster content of any kind, nothing is going to make you feel like you've made it quite like the first time you walk around a park with one of those media badges on a lanyard. It's a good time, and Cedar Point is one of the most restrictive when it comes to who they'll invite. Although it seems like things are starting to skew more towards the influencer side of things these days, traditionally media events like this had been for print media or local network affiliates from the region surrounding a park. And one newspaper has been working with Cedar Point since the very beginning, the Sandusky Register. That is, until now, because the park has decided to exclude the Sandusky Register from their Top Thrill 2 event, giving no explanation whatsoever. When asked, both spokesman Tony Clark and Park GM Carrie Boldman refused to provide any information to the paper, with only former Park VP Jason McClure responding just to say, invitations to our private events remain at our discretion.
Whatever, I do what I want.
However, the good news is that even with Cedar Point being pretty hush-hush about this, it's really not that hard to deduce why this decision may have been made, as the paper had done lots of reporting on recent controversies involving the park, including the scandal regarding sexual assault allegations at the employee dorms and the recent incident with Top Thrill Dragster. In the latter incident, the paper filed a lawsuit to obtain police reports regarding the incident, with the editorial board of the paper having the following to say regarding these records being kept secret. Giving a private company police powers without the responsibility to act in the public interest is a bad idea in theory and in action. It's an open invitation to abuse and to decisions being made based on the self-interest of the company, not the public's interest. Now, that may be pretty critical, but I do think they have a point. Also, the day before Cedar Point blocked the paper from coming to this media event, they did post an article on their website regarding the very unpopular Top Thrill 2 locker policy, a policy which the author of the article seems to disagree with, along with much of the theme park community. Now look, I know as enthusiasts, we tend to have this weirdly adversarial relationship when it comes to the media and the way they cover negative stories regarding our favorite parks. As a group, we tend to not like that very much. But this is what journalism is. Just because a thing that actually really happened made Cedar Point look bad doesn't mean the paper was smearing them by reporting on it. But KI Coaster Guy, what does this have to do with coaster content? Well, I think a whole lot, actually. It's tempting to view the blocking of the Sandusky Register as a petty move by Cedar Point, mostly motivated by anger, but I think it's a little bit more calculated than that. What Cedar Point and Cedar Fair, by extension, are doing here is sending a message. Do not report critical information about Cedar Point. If you want to work with us, you keep it positive. And while I'm sure WKYC Cleveland, for example, would rather cover these events than not cover them, I think the people that this message is gonna resonate with most are people like me and maybe you. People who make theme park related content and would really like to go to events like this. Cedar Fair has put the Sandusky Register's head on a pike outside the park, and coaster YouTube hopefuls are gonna take notice. And unfortunately, them taking notice means that their content regarding Cedar Point is often just going to be a useless pile of poop that says nothing and doesn't really do anybody any good. It's just gonna be somebody walking around with their phone in selfie mode talking about how great everything around them is. Which, okay, in a lot of cases, it kind of already is that, but I just mean, it's gonna be worse now. You can scroll through the content creator side of Twitter and you will see nothing but a wall of, wow, amazing addition, wow, knocked it out of the park. And that was before all this went down. Of course, it's not hard to understand why Cedar Point would want to go about it this way. I think it's shit. I think it sucks. But their only concern is in generating positive press for the park, good PR and all that. Now, I think this actually did the opposite for them, at least in the short term, but I do get it. It's not Tony Clark's job to make sure that coaster content on YouTube is good, just that it's good for Cedar Point, to the extent he can influence that. Making sure coaster content is good, that's our job, and I think that's what kind of puts us at odds with Tony Clark some of the time a little bit. And this is not something I'm worried about just affecting content regarding Top Thrill 2 and the Top Thrill 2 Media Day. Full disclosure, I think that ride is going to be fantastic. From everything I've seen, I think the park did a really good job with it. And so I think a lot of people that are visiting the park for Media Day aren't going to have any trouble honestly saying they really like the ride and everything that Cedar Point has done there. But no, Cedar Point's attitude towards coaster content creators has an effect year-round every year. I was really happy to see the community call out Cedar Point for this locker situation at Top Thrill 2. And I really don't think that there's a genuine argument to be made that that's a good thing for, from a guest experience perspective. But one thing I did notice is just about everybody I know that was invited to that media event for Top Thrill 2 had absolutely nothing to say about it. They were completely silent. So just something to think about. And so from here, I'd like to address my fellow content creators on this and other platforms. Guys, media events really aren't that important. I've been to a couple of them. I've been invited to a couple of them that I wish I could have made it out to. And like I said, they're fun. I definitely wouldn't suggest avoiding them for no reason. They're great networking opportunities. You should go if you can, but they're not going to make or break your channel at all. They're not going to be the deciding factor in your success. There are plenty of successful creators in this space for whom media events are not a part of their content at all. All this to say, don't make your content decisions primarily with getting into these media events in mind. When you make a video, it should be honest. It should come from the heart. You shouldn't be making concessions or hiding, what your actual opinion is just because you want to make sure you stay on a theme park's good side. All right? What is going to determine your success is you, not Tony Clark. And look, make no mistake, I'm putting my money where my mouth is right now. I have a pretty good relationship with my home park, Kings Island. And I'm not gonna lie, in the process of making this, that relationship has crossed my mind a couple of times. I don't want to jeopardize that. I hope this video doesn't do that. But at the same time, when I started making these YouTube videos, I did it because I thought I had something to say. I thought I had something of value to add to the conversation. If I'm just silencing myself to keep parks happy, then what am I really doing here? Value yourself. Have faith in yourself as a creator. If you've decided that you're never going to be critical of Cedar Point or Cedar Fair, even when you think they deserve it, all you've done is handed over editorial control of your creative work to Tony Clark in exchange for zip, zero, zilch, nothing in guaranteed compensation. Just the maybe off chance that you might get selected to appear at a media event somewhere down the line. And it's not like you just end up on a list and now you're in. You're going to have to play patty cakes with this park in perpetuity if your goal is that you want to be at all of their media events. And I have to ask, is that really worth it? Be honest with yourself. How much time do you actually spend every time one of these media events takes place on YouTube watching 100 YouTube channels just all say the same exact thing every time a new ride is introduced? You don't, right? I know I don't. It's just got big scam energy to me. Now, I was once told by a prominent content creator in this space that our jobs, not even just as content creators, but as enthusiasts, is to promote the parks. And I respect this person but I disagree with that assessment. I think what we should aim to do is entertain, create, and participate in interesting discussions. And one thing that's really important to me is advocating for consumers who love these parks as much as we do. If a park does something that you don't think is good for consumers and you have a platform, I think you should say something. Even if it does mean that the park might see it and they might not like it. Our jobs are to promote the interests of the people who love these parks. You know, your audience. Make videos for them, not for the parks, you silly goose. I promise you're gonna be able to make content about these rides regardless, okay? I didn't apply for the Top Thrill 2 event because I don't like the way that CP handles these. But I'm gonna be at Cedar Point in like 3 days for the charity preview event to ride Top Thrill 2. I'm pretty sure people will still be talking about it then. If all you're gonna do is go around saying everything the parks are doing is exactly what they should be doing, exactly all the time, it's all just perfect, honestly, I think that the only person you're really making your content for is you. And to viewers, it's okay to expect more from these people who you're giving your time to. There are plenty of creators out there who are willing to tell you what they really think about things, who do tons of research and put together videos that are interesting and informative. There are people out there like the criminally underrated Zero Credits Remaining, who make genuinely entertaining, funny, and informative content that you can tell a lot of work went into.
Guys, I have to be honest. I have a serious case of IBS. Indiana Beach Syndrome. Indiana Beach is a small classic theme park located over both the water and on the coast of Lake Schaefer in Monticello, Indiana. Don't get too excited, but I'm going to first talk about parking.
You know, I've been wanting to make a video like this for a while because as this niche has grown, I can't help but feel like a lot of what's available out there amounts to a low effort circle jerk of where everything is the absolute most amazing slam dunk, mind-blowing touchdown, bicycle kick home run of all time. And it's just so transparent and frankly exhausting. When businesses are able to influence the kind of content that gets made about them to this degree, I think it matters because it gradually creates a situation where the viewpoint of the business is the only one being shared. And I think this has led to an anti-consumer bent in the community where anything that the business does is justifiable and no complaints are valid. You can see the effect this has for yourself just by checking, you know, YouTube comment sections on videos like this, or just go to Facebook and join your home park's Facebook page if you haven't already. You'll see a ton of it there. A couple of years ago, the SeaWorld parks built like 3 new roller coasters and strung people along for 2 years before actually opening them. And what most of the SeaWorld influencers had to say was, well, you know, it was a good business move because the parks are so busy, they don't need to open them right now. So they can actually use this to get people to come and buy passes next year. Yeah, man, the parks were busy because people bought passes thinking that they were going to be able to ride Iron Gwazi and Pantheon. SeaWorld pulled a bait and switch, and you're acting like it's this clever business stratagem or something. This is how you get people arguing that when a park price gouges, it's actually a good thing for us because then they'll make more money. And then if they make more money, they'll use that money to build us new roller coasters. Bro, you literally brought voodoo economics into coaster enthusiasm. We've been waiting on that rising tide since the 1980s, Bob. I would like to go to a media event at CP someday. That would be cool, I'm not gonna lie. Just not at the cost of having to run everything I ever want to say about that park through an imaginary Tony Clark in my head to make sure that it passes muster. It's just, I'm just not willing to play that game. I hope at least some of you will join me in that. Let's keep coaster content interesting. Well, all right, folks. That all clear means I'm up, and out of here. Thanks for watching. RIP my comment section. and I'll catch you all next time.